If you've ever taken the batteries out of your TV remote to use it in another device, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back. I hope that you had a wonderful Monday evening. We are back at it today to find out what's going on and make some money off of it. I got my main man 13 in the back. Let's roll.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right. Good morning, folks, and happy Tuesday. It is great to see a whole bunch of you returning here. SMS, Ken, Market Sniper, Robert, X Sniper, Richard. I know there's some more of you out there, just maybe not had your coffee yet. Good morning and welcome back. Let me bring on my main man, 13. 13, how you doing today? Oh, diligently taking notes. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, don't worry. I was just reading the report from Morgan Stanley. Making a note of to ask happy hour later, why is fixed income net revenues down 4% year over year? It's an interesting down figure to me. I don't understand why fixed income would be down unless they're on the wrong side of rates. So just a question I want to start asking some folks in happy hour.
Okay, preparing for the day early. That's what I like to hear. Let's go ahead and dive in and talk about the SPY. So we actually broke through our 50-day yesterday with some pretty good authority. Looked early like we might bounce. That bounce actually ended up looking like a bull trap, and lower we go. So now we're through that 200-day. We're actually down at 505. I think you had a level at 508 or thereabouts, something like that. Anyway, we are through those levels down here to 505. Really, the question is going to be, do we defend yesterday's lows? Do we stay above it? Or do we actually break the after hours low and the pre-market low? Had that at about 502 here today. So 13, what are you thinking here on the SPY? What are you prepared for?
After we closed yesterday, because of the size of the candle and the how far down we went, I imagined that we would see some kind of a bounce, maybe get an inside candle today. So far, it's looking like that might happen as we are trading up above yesterday's close. But if I look at the smaller time frame, I'm seeing that in the pre-market we sort of double topped here, and I'm starting to think that it's opening at above 505 might not be in the cards. I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm just looking for a bit of an inside day. Maybe we do go lower. It's really going to depend upon what kind of news we get throughout the day, especially regarding the conflict in the Middle East. The earnings and economic news we got this morning really didn't, do a whole lot for the market. I mean, existing home sales, new builds were down quite handily. Some earnings coming out this morning, the big ones, UNH, J&J, Bank of America, and Morgan Stanley. Some had really good earnings, others kind of whatever. So I'm not really sure what's going to help push this market back up right now, seeing as how we're kind of just hanging out at this 505 level.
Okay, well, we will try and make some sense of that. Let's start with Trade the Pool's picks here today. As a reminder, Trade the Pool is the sponsor of live trading here. We really appreciate it. Smash up the like for the Trade the Pool guys. If you need help getting above the 25K day trading threshold, that may they're the guys to talk about. Or if you need more buying power, they're the guys to talk about. Also, I met with them yesterday, and we have some exciting things coming down the pike, actually right around the corner. So stay tuned, folks. There's going to be some more stuff there, maybe even some new tools. Hint, hint, we shall see. But stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of their picks because we'll start with some of those bigger ones. We'll also take a look at Morgan Stanley and UNH on the tail end of this 13. First one here is going to be SoundHound. They have resistance here listed at 430 and support at 350. Looking at this in the pre-market here today, there's definitely kind of a sideways channel. I have the top end of that channel at 385. So your upside spots here so far on SOUN 385 and 430. Your downside spot here, I've got one marked off at 370. The other one mentioned here, 350. So that's your levels there on ticker SOUN. Next, we've got Tesla here. Tesla also kind of trading lower. Remember, we had the news yesterday about laying off over 10% of their workforce. The 152 is the support here on Tesla. 160 is the resistance. I have 160.50 marked off as the top end of the pre-market range, and 156.82 marked off as the bottom end of that range. So we'll check that on Tesla. All of these on the list here to trade today. Last one is going to be Palantir, which is a crowd favorite here, doing the exact same thing. Trade the Pool has resistance at 22. I've got a spot at 21.80, and Trade the Pool has the support at 20.50. I've got the bottom end of the channel here at 21.39. So some pretty good range there on some of these Trade the Pool stocks. Now, we also, you had mentioned Morgan Stanley. Let's start with that. Here's the Morgan Stanley chart. One of the things that you'll notice here with these earnings, we were sitting right on that 200-day, and that was really converging with the 500-day. If we look inside here, you can see Morgan Stanley really kind of flagging here. So we're looking to kind of break out or break down from this channel on Morgan Stanley. And I'll show you here on Trade the Pool when I flip over to that. I have the top end of this range at 90.30. We've actually punched through that here, currently at 90.40, 90.50, I beg your pardon, on the offer. And then the bottom end of the range I have at 89.50. So we're just looking to see if Morgan Stanley breaks out of this one. Do you have any trade plan on Morgan Stanley? I can't remember if this is one of the long-termers that you really like or not.
This isn't one that I own, but one of the things I can see from the chart here is that this range that we've been trading in is a little concerning. You can see from the beginning of December when we ran up into this the 90 handle, we started going sideways, not being able to break. Let's call it 94.50. Couldn't break that. Came back in, found support from the 200-day SMA. Tried that same level again, consolidated there. Couldn't do it again. I'm a little concerned for that upside level, as I am concerned for this downside level. I don't know what's going to move this up or down, seeing as how we just got earnings that were pretty good, and we still haven't been able to get out of this sideways action. So for me, this is probably something that's a better a trade than an investment at this point, because I don't know which direction it's going. I haven't looked at it well enough to get an idea of what their long-term prospects are, or like what their growth rate is for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the daily chart here, there's a pretty clear range, like you were just mentioning, between 85 and maybe 95 right up here. Yeah. And it's just kind of bouncing around in that. So I know we've got a little bit of a pre-market range here today, but when we take a step back and look at some larger time frames, you can see that range is much bigger, and we are smack dab in the middle of it. I mean, if it's 95 to 85, current price is at $90. We're literally in no man's land in terms of that range here on the daily chart. So we'll see what kind of work gets done at attacking either end of these ranges and see if it provides a trade. But good mention here, Morgan Stanley reporting earnings this morning, and it looks like they have not had the conference call. So 13, maybe to your point there, the conference call ends up bringing more volume in here, and we take out some of those levels. Again, we're right in the middle right now, so we'll see. Next one that you had mentioned there in your rundown was going to be UNH, and this one has a very interesting chart. You had mentioned this in the pre-show fist fight. I'm going to have you cover this here, if that's okay, if you're ready for that. Looks like we did kind of bounce off this 450 area. You can see this I know we traded beneath it a little bit, but we very quickly recaptured it. Power candle here today on those earnings. Looks like we did kind of reclaim this. Now, the other interesting thing here that you had pointed out to me is that we are quite close to filling this gap. But in addition to this gap, we also have the 50-day moving average sitting almost right there. So what do you make here of UNH for today?
They had earnings, and it was a really good report, and they also guided very well too. They expect their revenues to surge to almost 100 billion. So I mean, that's really great news. They also addressed the cost of the cyber attack and how what their balance sheet's going to end up looking like as a result of the Brazil sale. They sold a Brazil unit recently, so they addressed those two things. They had great earnings. Things are looking great for the company. I think they also, I may be thinking of a different company because I looked at a few this morning. I thought they increased their dividend, but it doesn't look like they did. But aside from that, addressing the cyber attack and the sale and having good earnings, it's just a lot of really good news. So this is getting bought up. We're filling that gap. I think that 50-day SMA and that gap fill area is probably your upside target for today. If we go higher than that, then maybe just try to take your profits when you can, because I think this is a big outsized move, and to get above the 50-day SMA would be even more outsized, and I'd be a little bit worried about that going that high that quick.
Okay, and by the way, that 200-day right at about 508, if you do make it through that, 490 area, right where that 50-day moving average is, so another 15 points on top of that, up to the next really big moving average there. Good stuff on UNH. All right, let's jump over to the movers tool and talk about some of the smaller movers today that are likely going to be in play for the purpose of day trading. First one that we're going to take a look at on the list here is actually going to be Pally. This is Palisade BioShares, and they're trading higher if the company announced the completion of analysis evaluating ex vivo bioactivation in one of its treatment series. You can see this actually popped Pally. We went above 9 and kind of came back in. Let me fast forward to where we're at here today. We went above 9 and kind of came back in. Really good news here is that we're actually holding and have been holding above that VWAP. We've used this as support several times. To me, it actually looks like Pally could really kind of go right from here. We'll see if that ends up happening. We'll see what the opening print does for this name. Pally up 101+% here this morning on the back of this news.
Yeah, this one might have a little bit more room to run, even though it's kind of topping out here a bit. The important thing that I saw with the news headline is that they not only just completed the analysis of evaluating, but I believe there's also a headline here that says they successfully demonstrated the bioactivation. So that's probably the bigger piece of news than just the analysis, I think. They also have a float of 727,000 shares, very easy to move around. And that's in part because they just did a 1-for-15 reverse split last week on the 8th.
Okay, and remember, Jay Rice tells us all the time, those reverse splits that work out, very few and far between. The only one he can remember is GE. The other thing is here, when you look at the daily chart, you can see Pally is no stranger to having these really, really large outsized pops. It's also no stranger to giving that back. So factor that into your plan if you go ahead and trade Pally here. Definitely moving, definitely good volume so far, and already looking pretty good staying above that VWAP. If that changes, something else could change. Go ahead.
So to your point, when we get the open, that first up move might be the only up move you get with this one. And if it starts going down, it might not go back up to where we opened. So keep that in mind with this one. Just look at the price action from past trading days. You'll see that this one is pretty unforgiving. So just be careful with this one, even though it's moving really, really nicely in the pre-market.
Yeah, and we've seen that on some of these smaller names here in the past. Keep that in mind. Again, this is one of the reasons why I have tight stops on some of these junkier names. If it prints that high right out of the open and never returns to it, the last thing I want to do is hold that bag all day long. I'm much more inclined to take a small loss and then try to earn that back with a better setup. Good stuff here, Pally. I know that you folks are mentioning a number of stocks in the chat. We will take a look at those. I just want to roll through a couple of these here on the list. Next one here is going to be WISA. This is ticker WISA. WISA shares are trading higher after the company announced a 5-year WISA e-licensing agreement with the HDTV PTV brand. This is really spiking WISA here today, up about 55%. We actually had a double top right around 312 the first time we punched through 3. We're sitting right at the VWAP here. Volume's kind of dried up, but we haven't broken down, so that's encouraging, at least for day trading purposes here today. We'll see if WISA gives us another opportunity. This is a stock that we are very, very familiar with, and if you take a look at the daily chart here, the stock was never $100,000. This is a reverse split candidate, so the same deal here. Take a look at this chart. This continues to go down. So be very, very careful when trading a name like this. This really only for a day trade. I know we've got a PR here today. I kind of want to watch this. We'll see if we can trade this on momentum. Just be careful with this name here today.
I have a little annotation here for this company. I wrote scumbags next to it because
oh no!
One of the things I was just looking through the news, and one of the things they did is they filed to sell 52 million shares. So if we go to the calendar and we look at their secondary offerings, you can see that well, I don't think that filing went through, but they just did another offering earlier this year in February, and then they did a reverse split, a 1 for 150 shares for one. reverse split yesterday. So now they're down to 1.7 million shares on their float. So this is why I put the annotation of scumbag next to it. They basically are raising money. They've basically created so many shares that it's hard to even own this. So what they did is they did a reverse split, so it starts moving again. This is just a cycle that these some of these really micro cap companies do. They'll raise cash, they'll raise cash, they'll raise cash, dilute their shares so that you have over 100 million or hundreds of millions of shares. And then they go, man, we can't justify having this many millions of shares and have our price at 10 cents a share. We're not getting compliance. Let's regain compliance and do a reverse split. That's what they did. And now they have 1.7 million share float, and their stock price is within compliance again. Scumbags.
So there you go. The long and short of that, be careful, folks. I know we're covering it. Definitely not a recommendation. Trying to give you as much background here as possible. Okay, next on the list here, PRSO. This is Prso. This actually has a pretty nice formation here in the pre-market, to be honest with you. Stock was just under $1.50 yesterday. Had a nice little impulse move, regression back to the VWAP for the bigger impulse move that took us above $2, and another move back to the VWAP. Now we're kind of consolidating around here, ticker PRSO. Now I don't really have any type of fresh news on this one. Nope. You got anything going on with PRSO here?
I don't see any new fresh news on it. They do have a 2.26 million share float. They just did a reverse split back in. Actually, they started the year with a reverse split on January 3rd. 1-for-40 reverse split. And I see Jane Smith's going to trade the scumbag today. Jane, get it. Get that money, Jane.
Hey, look, like I've said before, I'm not going to criticize anybody for what they try and trade, but we are going to try and give you as much information as possible. Just be careful. Okay.
I've traded scumbags before too.
Yeah, me too. I'm no stranger to it. I'm no stranger to it. Not holding them anymore. Next one here is going to be ITCI. This is Intracellular. This is a little bit bigger price stock. Stock was about $64 yesterday. Intracellular shares are trading higher after the company announced lumateperone. Oh my gosh, some L drug, 42 milligram once daily as an adjunctive therapy to antidepressants, met its primary endpoint. So some good data here on a drug that did pop it nearly as high as $88. We retraced about $11 of that move. Now we're kind of consolidating around VWAP. I definitely want to see what type of action this stock produces when it starts to move out of this range, right? This range here, bottom of it is about 76, top end of it about 79.5. So watch that range. Let's see what IT, I'm going to screw this ticker up here today too. I'm sorry in advance. ITCI. Let's see what that one does here today. Okay, a couple of more that I wanted to run through. BRTX, unless you had any, I'm sorry, did you have something else on that one?
I didn't do much research on it, but I can just look at the news and see that was a phase 3 result. So this, with phase 3 results, that means that they're going to be moving into getting FDA approval and to market and sell the drug next. That can be pricey. So be careful with this one. Also, they did get some price target increases, I believe. No, maintains. They got maintained price targets, 86 and 82 by RBC Capital and Needham. Yep. Mm-hmm. So just a couple of extra bullet points there with this one.
Okay, there you go. BRTX. This is going to be the next one. Now, this one here, we popped and we retraced 80% of the move. Biorestorative therapy shares are trading higher. The company announced FDA clearance of its phase 2 clinical study protocol amendment for one of its drugs. You got anything here on BRTX? This one really needs to show that it's firmed up down here at about 145 before there's any type of trade.
Yeah, FDA clearance to start a phase, to me, that's not really a big deal. It's a big step for the company to keep advancing their clinical trial, but I don't see where the money is to be made in here. It's just basically the FDA going, yes, you have a permission to spend money. That's the way I look at it.
There you go. By the way, appreciate this Webcoin here on PRSO, one of the stocks we talked about. It looks like the news here is pleased to announce the Panasonic System Networks Research and Development Lab has adopted Prso's X710 chipset for its new 60 gigahertz WLAN solution. So this looks like a chip for some type of wireless router or hub. And that's what's driving it here today. Webcoin, nice there on that. Nice shout on that.
We're getting some push up from PALI.
Pally is pushing up some more. Okay, I know we're running out of time here. Got about 6 minutes left. I do want to cover a couple more stocks. First one I want to mention here is going to be CAVL, and we can go to even more of these here if we run out of time. I want to make sure I get to a couple of the ones you folks are talking about. As Jay was mentioning earlier, Zach is back. Jay noticing here, most of his pumps don't last that long. Of course, CAVL was one of those yesterday. Saw this morning he was back on that today. Do with that what you will. CAVL a little bit lower here today. We'll see if this sets up. I kind of think that I want to wait this out of the gate. All right. I don't necessarily want to make a trade on this out of the gate. There's likely people that were holding and buying from yesterday. I'm going to let them make the first move since I have no position here, and I'll see if this sets up. If it doesn't, we're going to have some other targets to take a look at here today. And the next one that a bunch of you folks are already mentioning here, you didn't think I was going to get through this without mentioning it, did you? Hub C. This was actually on the list for yesterday. They actually traded up in the after hours. They were again higher in the pre-market today. We're about flat now, just below the VWAP here, but Hub C seems to be on the radar. The one thing I will say here about Hub C, volume in the pre-market, it's active, but it's not huge. And I think that some of that would kind of have to change for this to get rolling here. We'll see if the opening print ends up doing that.
Yeah, I would probably think that somewhere between 290 and 3 is where it could top out today. If it goes higher, it goes higher. I understand that this is just mostly because of the Middle Eastern conflict right now. But if there's more to it, then great. But as far as I can tell, there isn't. So 290 to 3 is where I would say that the top is.
Okay. Sounds good on that. What else do you folks want to take a look at? Let's see. LGVN being mentioned here in the chat. Let's take a look at that. That was one of the movers from yesterday. LGVN, it gave that move in the morning. It really kind of dried up, then slow grind starting around the lunch hour to a move near the close. Now, what we're doing here is we're actually holding some of these levels. So you can see we actually traded back down into the area where we consolidated yesterday in the pre-market here today. Let's see if we can actually get above 3. I've got 320 as the next spot there. LGVN. This one may be in play. Again, on this one, though, we might want to wait that out. We want to see what that opening print is like. YYAI is another one being mentioned here. Lion Atlas looks like you're on this one. This was a ticker change yesterday. We talked about this is kind of a slower grind up. Looks like we got a little bit more of a move up here today, although we stopped at 260 and came back in beneath that VWAP. First thing that I want to see here is a VWAP reclaim about 245 and see if we can move through 250 and then 269. Looks like is the high of the pre-market there. So we'll see if we can take the top off there on YYAI. Okay. Looking around here, what else do you folks want to take a look at? I got about 2 minutes till we open up here. As I look across some of my other screens here, I noticed that Apple really making a move to the lows here in the pre-market. So this actually sold off yesterday. It looks like it's trying to take another leg lower. Apple recently has kind of come up off a support level. It'll be interesting to see if we come back in towards this 168, maybe finally give us that 165, 160 area we're looking for a potential swing on Apple. Okay. Voodoo, you were mentioning SQQQ. That's one we should definitely take a look at here if you're trading the market at all. This one finally ended up working out here as we moved yesterday from 1060 to about 1140, so almost a full dollar there. We're holding up so far. A lot of this is going to depend on how the market trades, Voodoo. Would love to hear how you're actually addressing that. A couple of more stocks that have recently been in play recently been in play over the past couple of sessions. I beg your pardon. MNDR. This thing traded up almost to 22 yesterday, looking like it's going to try to go higher here out of the open. But keep in mind, this run is likely to end at some point. You still have this. Make sure you get some of those gains booked before this really kind of turns around. Maybe we get another nice day here in MNDR. All right. You got any other stocks you want to take a look at?
Somebody was mentioning AMD. I was just looking at it real quick. It looks kind of heavy, like it wants to go lower, maybe down to the 200-day SMA. Don't know how quick that's going to happen, but it seems like that's going to kind of unfold over the next matter of weeks, maybe a couple months.
Okay, DXYZ was getting mentioned here on a potential curl trade. We'll see if this can move back to 50. Let me show that AMD chart. This is one that we watch all of the time here. And I beg your pardon, what was the level that you had, the downside level?
The 200-day SMA.
Okay.
We Kingdom Land, we covered ITCI.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, that I think that was a phase 3 data that we were talking about there.
Okay. Let's.
No worries, dude. No worries.
Yeah, no, all good. Here we go. Market is open. I'm going to flip over to the scanner. Then we'll go ahead and open up the trade the pool brokerage to actually execute some of these trades. Good luck, folks.
All right. What do you got for us, Pally? I think that one's going to have the biggest out of the gate move. It was looking pretty good in the pre-market. Oh, Soundhound
Pally,
down
flip
and
over
back
here.
up.
Oh. I didn't even share my other screen yet. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, let's do this.
AMD got an upgrade. Okay. All right.
Pally, so far it is just kind of figuring out what it wants to do.
But it's got some crazy volume right now, so that's good. Same thing with, okay, so WISA, W-I-S-A, that one's starting to push up here.
The one I had on the screen first there. I'm gonna wait that move. I'm definitely not gonna trade that move. WISA, not a stock that I trust even a little bit.
This is the scumbag one, that's why.
Yeah, LGVN tried to pop there, but pulled right back down.
Okay, so PRSO, I've got VWAP. Some of these are just kind of going sideways, trying to figure out where to go.
See if Pally pulls to this 823 area for its VWAP and then make a move. That'd make this a little bit easier to trade. Morgan Stanley, by the way, we talked about that. Looks like that first move here was up out of that channel. Looks like we sold off to the bottom of the channel here. I'd be interested to see if we break this and move lower here on MS, ticker MS, Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, lots of weakness this morning.
Here's Hub C. So this one is popping here off the VWAP, moving away from that 206 VWAP spot. I had a high there at 217, your high print on Hub C. Morgan Stanley continuing to move lower here.
Yeah, I got about 245 as the upside target after we move through 211, 212 in Hub C.
Let's take a look here. We were really kind of bouncing back to the VWAP here. Might try a Morgan Stanley here. Try a short here on Morgan Stanley. Filled there 889.40. See if we can get this to move lower here. I'd really like this to kind of come back in, maybe an 88.70, maybe another 50 cents here. Stock doesn't trade all that. There we go. It's a nice little pull there. See if we can get a little bit more on this.
Voodoo, if there's like a special definition of it and it's going to be gross, I don't think we need to know.
Yeah, maybe save that for another time there. All right, Morgan Stanley, nice little pull here right out of the gate. I'm actually going to take that off and book some green early here. So
look at PLI.
I was 0 for 2 yesterday, starting out 1 for 1 here small. We'll wait for another setup. And look at that, Morgan Stanley bouncing. Okay, decent timing on that one. I'll take it. I'll take it. Pally continuing to move higher here.
$10 next upside target for Pally.
Okay. SOUN was another one we had on the list. What's that doing here? Looks like that's bouncing here. First move was down, but the bidders caught it and moving it higher here above that 385 range. If we back test this 384, 385 area, it's also where the VWAP is. Maybe a potential long day trade here.
PRSO pushing up now. Pre-market target or high is 212.
Yeah, it did break out of that sideways area. Good call here on PRSO. Larry's on it. Morning, Larry. Becca mentioning Rivian. What's Rivian doing here today? Rivian still holding lower here. I tell you what, that daily chart looks tough here on Rivian. There should be a bounce at some point. Be careful with that one, though. Webcoin said PRSO made my morning as it continues to go to the highs through 2 now. Nice. Remember, we had that pre-market high right up here at what, 213, excuse me. High print of the session here, 205. PRSO looking good. Webcoin, good trade on the gate there, or out of the gate there. We'll give you a cash register ring for that. Nice one, PRSO. Boy, that came right from the bottom end of that pre-market range, 170. That was a great trade right there. 30 plus cents on that peak to trough on that little scalp.
It looks like it's trying to go higher, trying to break 2 and go higher. 212 pre-market high.
All right, one of the other, 205, they're lining up some size there. One of the other stocks that we had in our list here today was Tesla. Looks like this broke down through that 156, trying to go lower here.
It looks like we're getting some support here at PALI. Still above VWAP, coming down to it, though.
851 is that VWAP level. See if we get all the way down there. That'd be great. Apple, nice bounce there. Daniel mentioning that it's hitting the VWAP on the way back up there. Nice bounce there on Apple. Pally came in not quite to that VWAP, though. Part of me wonders if this is going to take off from here. Morgan Stanley, damn, broke and took another leg lower here on Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, SPY getting pushed down below 505.
SPY chart looks fairly orderly here. No real big sell-off, although we are moving a little bit lower. Jonathan's got 152.60 as the support here on Tesla. It's another 2 points lower than where we're at right now. Wissa on my scan. That's not really doing anything yet. Morgan Stanley, more lows here. That was a nice short out of the gate. PLTR still in our range here today. SOUN looks like that broke out of the range. Didn't really give a great back test of that 385 area. SOUN going higher here now. Morning, Jay Wild. Good to see you. UNH, this was another one that we had talked about. Oh, this one gave us a trade setup. I was looking at other stuff, though. Look at this. This broke out of that, broke down from that 475 area. Looks like it did try to back test that and the VWAP a little bit. Lower we go here, though. UNH. Trying to bounce here on UNH.
I'm just trying to see what the PALI is going to do.
PRSO going for those highs here. Here we go.
Nice.
Here we go on PRSO.
212.
212 is that spot, exactly. I actually see some size there at 217 too.
Mm-hmm.
Pull back here to the VWAP. Try some right here.
Bad knife in PRSO.
Knife to the VWAP. If it keeps moving down, we're going to close this. But I added right at 187. So hopefully we bounce back up, take two, and go for those highs again here, PRSO.
Rent taken off, as the Crow was mentioning.
PRSO, some big size brought in on the offer at 194. That block is going to tell the story. If we get there and take it, this goes higher. If we get rejected, we probably sell off again. I'm going to stay on this here and not let this go too red on me. This was kind of a risky play on a potential bounce from the VWAP level. We haven't got that bounce yet. Hopefully we don't have another huge knife in store for us until we at least buy the price back up. That's what we're trying to capture here.
Rent 16.99, new high.
170K sell order there, PRSO at 194. It's exactly what I was identifying, Kingdom Lamb. Allie's breaking down. I'll go to that here in a sec. Let me just manage this trade here. I want to see if we bounce back up to this 194. I really do.
Pally's halting down. It's halted.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It looks like it might be.
All right. I'll go to that here in a little bit. There we go. We're going to put a stop in here on 179 at least so I can flip around here. PRSO looks like it's going to get pulled here.
Soundhound now trying to break 4.
Stopped out of PRSO. That didn't work. We'll see if that ends up bouncing. That is under pressure under that VWAP. Look, STFU, we tried to trade that on a VWAP bounce. It's breaking away from the VWAP. We got to wait for the setup to change. It has to firm up at some point. We'll see if it does that. Here's the Pally chart right to the downside. You can see that this actually blew right through that VWAP. So we wouldn't have tried the same trade here. It didn't stop at that 13. I'm sorry for running you over there.
I was just wanted to point out. Remember, Pally. This is the one that likes to pop on that day and then just completely give it all back, and you won't see it again. Until months later. Just be careful. We might have seen the move in Pally out this morning.
SOUN. Red green move here on this up move. All buying volume on this 3-minute chart. SOUN.
Looks like WISA
LGVN trying to take out its consolidation range. Here's WISA. This did reclaim its VWAP.
Yeah. Certainly moving now.
Crow mentioning rent. I'm assuming the rent jokes are going to start up here today. This has moved from 15 to 17 already here today. Pretty spread on rent.
What is that song? 125,600 minutes.
I have no idea what that is.
I think there was a musical called Rent, and that was one of the songs.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that. Around here,
DJT is dropping. I got to see this. That thing's just—that's what it's been doing ever since last week. So it's down to the 200-day SMA now. It would be interesting if this is, about where DJT starts to slow down the selling and puts in a bottom. RSI is kind of low. We're down at some key SMAs. I'd have to think that the sell-off slows down at some point. Maybe we get like more of a neutral candle at some point here.
Morgan Stanley kind of consolidating, may bounce here. UNH, oh man, I missed it. That went right back to the spot and sold off here. Darn it. I was a little slow on that. UNH looking good here on the short side, at least so far. No position. Hub C knife getting called out in chat. Careful on that.
Yep.
Hub C knife, that's right away from the VWAP.
Thanks, Becca. I got it right. It was from Ryan.
WISA here up to those pre-market highs. We'll see if it stops at 3. I do see a little bit of size at 3 here, WISA.
Oh gosh, I have to think that
nice job, Jane, trading that.
Yeah,
getting out of that with some gains. Way to go. You can always rebuy something else. Couple of bucks on the
Well, yeah, a couple bucks on the scum. Exactly. I'm looking around at some of these other ones that we were talking about this morning. They all have these large knives after they get up to their these highs. So let's just say that WISA couldn't do the same thing. That's a great trade. You got out when I think was the right time to get out.
Yeah.
And now this thing could start coming in.
No reason to try and hit the exact top. Just collecting anything will work.
Yeah. But man, PRSO, PLAI.
Look at YYAI pounding lows. Big volume candle, huge knife. It looks like it's going for some new lows here. YYAI. Dow pulling back, by the way. SPY kind of rolling over. NASDAQ so far holding in. How are those tech stocks doing? NVIDIA holding about 869 here. How about SMCI? It's another one that we check on all the time.
Going higher. Trying to push through 3. Having a time, though.
So here we go on the SPY. This continuing to move lower here. SPY, I've got it. Let me back out here. What was yesterday's intraday low? Right here. Low 503.58 is what I've got for the intraday low. We're currently at 503.80. Watch if that low snaps. I know we've been lower here in the pre-market, but in the regular session, that's a bit different. Morgan Stanley might be bouncing here. For those of you trying to trade a bounce on Morgan Stanley, maybe we make it through that VWAP and back up to that 90 handle, Morgan Stanley.
So the thing about 503 is that there is a gap to fill from 503 and 2 cents all the way down to 497.37. So if we start breaking down, there's an opportunity there for those gap filler players. just something to be aware of. We could, it could be one of those things where if we get the right news combination with this gap fill, we could blast right through 500.
Yeah. MRNS, this is continuing to go here. This wasn't on my radar, but this moving up here. 130 looks like the spot that it moved. We're currently up around 160 right now. WISA did get above 3, it looks like. Crow was saying it looks like there's got some more there on WISA.
It might. I mean, this must be after hours. The high that I have in the after hours from yesterday is 312.
PRSO going lower here. That bounce just never worked. Here's Pally.
If PRSO is going to bounce somewhere, I think it'd probably be closer to 150, 160, somewhere between there.
Morgan Stanley back to its VWAP and above, actually, on Morgan Stanley. Let's see what it does here. Maybe we can get back to that 90 handle. This one actually not bad. Tell you what, those bigger stocks giving us better opportunity, that's for sure. Or at least for me, anyway. Apple, real strong bounce here. That's kind of with the technology theme that we've talked about. That seems to be stronger here this morning.
I think the Pally halt was a mistake. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to wrap my head around the halt as well. It didn't seem like it was an outsized move, but because I'm looking at the volume and it, there's other volume sticks that are slightly larger than that.
ITCI, this is one that we talked about here. It looks like this might be trying to move higher here. ITCI, remember we had a pre-market high here, $85.
And they had that price target of 82 and 86. If you look to the left in the after hours yesterday, you see we got to a high of 81, 84, so almost at that price target. We could get up there, maybe go higher. We probably could even see the 86 price target as well if there's enough volatility and volume in this. So there's some upside targets for you, 82 and 86, because it looks like we're headed that direction.
By the way, Morgan Stanley looks like it was rejected at that VWAP. Part of me wondering here if that was a reshort opportunity as Morgan Stanley continues to pull to the low here. Boy, that happened fast. It happened fast. We'll keep an eye on this one, see how this keeps trading here. KAVL being mentioned here by PP in the chat. Remember, this was Zach mentioned here. KAVL looks like this broke down through the VWAP here. It's not breaking down yet, though, and so far it's doing a decent job holding its pre-market lows. No position for me on KAVL.
WISA has some nice support at 290. Now it's pushing up through 312. After hours high yesterday. That's a good upside target for you on this one. Not too far away.
WISA's trying to go here. 313's got some size there. I'd be careful for a knife here on WISA.
Well, it's going to have to knife through a hell of a lot of shares, and it didn't. It got to 320.
Here we go.
Just be careful.
SPY in 502 handle now broke through 503. Watch for the SPY to accelerate some selling to the downside here if they can't hold.
Get to a lower time frame here.
A lot of weakness I'm seeing out there. A lot of weakness. A lot of messages too. Give me a sec to catch up on some of these. Let me make sure the building's not on fire here. Jeez.
Rent is dumping. Well, a victim. Oh yeah, all the way down to the 65 EMA. That was a big knife. From what, about 1650 all the way down to 1530. I see that the SPY bounced off the $3 level. We got down to 502.95 and then reversed. That's the second time in today, once in pre-market, once out after the open, that we've tested that level. We continue to hammer that level. We're going through it. PRSO is recovering. Looks like PLAI is open and lower now, trying to recover, but not succeeding. If PALI goes lower, here's some downside targets. You could maybe try to catch a bid around 680, 635, or 635. There's also the 200 EMA in there at around 640.
Here you go on Pally. STFU saying, I think the whole market is scared of a correction. Now, my pushback on that why would they be scared? 13 and I have been waiting for a correction here so we can buy some quality stocks at discounted prices. To me, I wouldn't necessarily be scared of that unless, of course, I was maybe too overexposed.
Healthy markets do go through corrections.
Indeed.
We want to see this. This is something that needed to happen, and it's, in my opinion, a little bit overdue. So if we, do a 5% or 10%, pullback or correction, that's going to be good. And I would have a shopping list ready. I've talked about it before. We get a shopping list together for when we start to hit those targets. Prso coming back up to VWAP, and when we get those stocks together that we want to buy, we see them bottoming out. We'll start picking them up. As for the SPY. Here's some numbers for you to keep in mind with the with pullbacks and corrections. Let me just get my chart to load here, and I'll tell you.
Allie's still weak, by the way.
No problem. For a 5% pullback level in the SPY, you'd be looking at 498 and 38 cents. That's where the 5% level is. For 10%, you're looking at 472 and 15 cents. So if you understand the need for the pullbacks and the corrections, those levels, if you're expecting just a pullback, that would be your level. If you're expecting a correction, then you probably want to start buying closer to that area. So just some things to keep in mind.
I've got the 200-day here at 465. I'd really like to see a pullback to that level. That would be just over that 10% level that you talked about.
Yeah, let me see how much of a corrective move that would be. That would be
SPY is trying to bounce here. While we're talking about that, SPY is trying to bounce here.
That would be about 11.2%. So yeah, I mean, and the 200-day estimate is going to keep coming up as we are still trading above that. So we could see it rise to the 10% level as well. All right. So yeah, SPY bounced off 503 or in that area, and trying to trade back up, back up to 505. That's the next level. So probably see some sideways consolidation like we have been lately. If you look like a 5-minute chart and look through the pre-market and the after hours yesterday, you can see that we've been in between 505 and 503 pretty much for the majority of that time. We only broke out of it in the pre-market, double topped, and came back in.
MRNS looks like this finally came back to the VWAP. Let's see if this sets up for another move. This one pretty extended. Careful on this one. CGEM, this is another one here that had news this morning. This actually looks like it's moved beneath its VWAP. Be interested to see if this breaks down at all. Ticker CGEM.
The Democrat hedge fund manager is scared of a correction. Well, I would say that maybe more of certain staff members are, concerned about a correction, so that because it doesn't fit their narrative. I think that's probably what they're more concerned about, especially going into an election year. Yeah. But anyway, let's not get into that. Let's trade and make some money.
Like I'd like to stay away from that if possible. This year is already going to be painful enough.
With Pally, Prso, everything not looking too great right now.
No, I see a lot of stuff coming back in. Lithium names in.
Let's see here. What's DJT doing?
BRTX may be bouncing and closing its the gap back to the VWAP on BRTX. This is biorestorative therapies.
Voodoo, you're saying that we need to have a 30%. We need to essentially enter a bear market. Is what you're saying? WISA might be popping here.
SXTC popping here. Looks like X Sniper saying that that's a Zach call on that. Looks like that's halted. Jay Wild, good spot. Indeed, that is halted. Confirmed halted here. Morgan Stanley actually bouncing here, so shaking out some of those weaker hands around that 88 level, now moving back higher. Let's see if it reclaims 90 on Morgan Stanley.
Voodoo, we'll get there. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we do need a really painful bear market at some point. I don't think that we're quite there yet, but we will be. WISA's going higher. 335.
Indeed. Good call on this one, Crow. You were all over this. UNH back into its channel. Palantir broke. Oh, this was a good one. This should have been a short right there at 21.39. It's only 21.33 here, but Palantir breaking back down. This Palantir to me looks like a move back to the VWAP. Absolutely. Move back to the 200-day at 1850 looks totally possible from here.
Well, remember, that's what we want to do. We want it to go back down there. So yeah, a 200-day SMA would be great.
Tesla looks like more lows might be on deck here. Look at this. Tesla rolling over.
SQQQ, that splits though, right?
Did they announce that?
That's what they do though.
They reverse it.
They reverse split. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it would be, it would have to be one of those big selling moves or a big change in the queues in order to get back up to those levels, especially if they're constantly doing the reverse split and making the share price lower or higher. PALI might be finding a bottom here, starting to curl.
Flip over to that.
PRSO back up to VWAP again.
Let's start with that one here, and that's actually going higher here on PRSO.
Here we go. It's got 194. A lot of shares at 194 to get through. Might not be able to do it. There'd have to be a large amount of buying in order to get through that.
See if it stops right here. There's that 194. Remember, this is the area that we were looking at before. 13. I'm going to actually step away for a sec. When I come back, I want to see what happened to this area.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see if this ends up working. I'll be right back.
And that meantime, we have WISA still holding above 315, where there is a good number of bid orders. PALI has looks like it has two levels in about 725 and 730. It's got to get through. Might take a bit of time. We'll see. The PRSO, is it going to break through that large wall at 194? I'm not so sure. MNDR big pullback. Let's see here. Oh yeah. So with MNDR now it's below VWAP. Could see it trade back up and try to recapture VWAP, but it won't. I don't think that's what's going to happen. So WISA topped out at 336, going sideways now. So still might be able to staircase its way up higher, but it's going to need that volume to come back in. We have some good support at 315. So hopefully the selling doesn't accelerate, or else it's going to take that out. Yeah, PALI still curling, looking pretty good. PRSO is trying to hold above VWAP.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Morgan Stanley continuing its bounce.
PLAI is trying to curl and push back up.
SMCI continuing higher here.
You don't say.
NVIDIA looks like the exact same chart, honestly. This was the Zach call that halted.
He's on another one now?
Yeah, SXTC. How's CAV-L doing? That's breaking down here. They needed another one, I'm sure.
Oh,
PRSO didn't go through that area yet, huh?
No, it didn't. The wall was just too big. 194. Might be trying again right now, though. Looks like it's certainly trying. You just need like one of these big whales to its way in and just take out that wall.
I like the sound effect there. 192 seems to be stopping it here. I want to see one of these upside breaks work so much. I want to see it. SPY actually bounced off that low that we talked about. Here we go on PRSO.
It's got so much to chew through, though.
Yep.
I see the time and sales just going crazy too.
Here we go. They're taking it. I'm taking some right here. They're taking the whole thing. There it goes. Are they going to get it? Oh, not quite. They got it almost all of it, and they pulled it off here. If this starts to sink, we're just going to close this. Come on, let's see if we get another push back towards that. PRSO 194 is that spot. We'll see if we end up breaking it here.
Oh man, the seller is just starting to pile in.
Yeah, refresh selling here. I mean, at this point, it's got to go. Otherwise, I think we're probably due for a knife here. Yep, here it comes in a little bit.
Yeah, right to VWAP. Maybe VWAP, and then it comes back up.
That's what I'm thinking here.
Pally kind of went down. Now it's trying to recover. So that curl isn't quite happening yet.
I think we're done here on PRSO. Let's see. Trying to reclaim that VWAP. It's trying. They're bringing in bids, but they're hitting them.
Yeah, they're just, oh man.
They're bringing in bids, but they're hitting them. Gotta get past this 186 here pretty soon.
Yeah, new candle here in the next second or next minute. I mean, why am I looking at the 1 minute?
I've got a 3 minute up here. I've got another minute 50 on this candle. We'll see if this ends up taking it here. I don't know though.
I had the wrong time frame up. All right. Looks like rent bounced off the 65 EMA, trying to come back up to VWAP. WISA held 3 for the moment. Weakness.
All right, so I'm gonna start flipping around here. So I'm actually gonna put a stop on this in case this doesn't work. See if we end up going down here. Oops, gonna stop at 177. Okay. PRSO, that one might end up not working. WISA back to the VWAP. Got it. My relative volume scanner has a whole bunch of names that are down from the open. Maybe we're getting a curl here. PNC, this is one of those banks. Maybe this is moving off the bottom here. Well, that just flashed on there and it's no longer there. So, okay, stopped out of PRSO. That one didn't work. That wall, man, that was crazy. Almost took that whole thing. But what did we say at the beginning of that? If that wall doesn't get taken, it's likely to really kind of come back in. That's what we saw there. Let's see if it ends up shaking out those hands and going higher here. It looks like that's what it's trying to do. So it stopped me out right at 177 and has moved up a couple of cents here. We'll see if it goes through that 194 PRSO. Did not get that break. Could always look at it again if we get close enough there. DXYZ, you folks are talking about. So Sally and Jay, you guys are on DXYZ. What are you seeing here? $5 move already here on this. What the hell is this company anyway? I've never seen or heard of this. I'm going to get in right now. This is a ETF. This is an ETF. Didn't someone post? I could have sworn one of you folks posted the holdings of this one day when we first started talking about it. Or maybe you were just having a discussion about it or something like that.
Didn't Stay Focused initially bring that up?
It was one. I can't remember who it was, but it was someone from this group here because we started looking at this in live trading. We talked about it in happy hour. Someone had the list in here. This is the closed-end funds of private companies. It has SpaceX.
Yes,
okay.
And this was the whole IPO and M&A theme that Stay Focused was talking about. This could be one of the companies that is in a lot of these M&As and these IPOs, and they are poised to do really well because a lot of them is in the, like you said, SpaceX and AI spaces. So I think that was the whole reason for bringing this up. And it looks like it's getting the attention now.
Sorry, one sec.
Looks like PALI is trying to come off of a bottom here. It's still trying to do that curl I mentioned earlier. What are we looking at? Looks like rent is back above 16 again. So that's it went up to VWAP, trying to break through VWAP at the moment.
Thank you, Jay Rice. Thank you, Jay Rice. Epic Games, SpaceX, Discord, Stripe, OpenAI. No wonder this is so popular. Jay, much appreciated. That's awesome. Yep. Thank you. Thank you on that. Monica, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Nice to have you. Let me know if there's any stock you want us to take a look at. Oh, the office assistant is in his bed now. Nice.
Oh, is it break time already?
Well, for him, yeah, it's always break time for him. RVSN popping here on volume.
Okay, so I guess the market finally, unless there's news, did the market finally get tired of trading these names? Wanted to go back to the old girlfriends?
Jay, I'll take a screenshot. How about that? Writing it down is for the 80s and 90s. So I got screenshots now. Jay Summers saying there's no way to value DXYZ. Validate on what's inside. Offers a broader access to the private market. Okay. I did screenshot them. I know I was making a joke there, but I did actually screenshot that. I actually followed my own advice there.
So there is news with Rail Vision.
What's that?
There is news with Rail Vision.
Let me see if I can pull that here. Oh, you got it?
Well, they entered into a non-binding memorandum of understanding with leading railway technologies company for the distribution of Rail Vision's mainline and shunting yard products.
Shunting yard. Well done with that pronunciation. I don't think I've ever seen that word before.
Huh. WISA really breaking down now?
That's still popping. Oh, WISA's breaking down. You don't say. LGVN moving away from its VWAP.
Yeah, seeing some of these names turn around now.
Rent back to its VWAP. Who was on Rent? Is it Crow? Who was someone else? I think was on Rent here.
I'm pretty sure Crow was mentioning it earlier. Something about paying the rent.
That's right. And then the money emoji with wings. So Apple looks like this went green and now is back to green to red. Potential move here.
To answer Daniel Torres' question, I do believe Powell is speaking today. Let me double check that for you. Yes. At 1:15, he's supposed to speak after Barkin. Williams speaks at 12:30, Barkin at 1, and Powell at 1:15.
Okay. We expecting movement off that?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Okay, there we
go. Every time they start saying something. Let's look at what has happened in the past, week when we have Goolsby and Brainerd talking. They move the market absolutely 100%.
LGVN still through that VWAP and holding here. Morgan Stanley almost retook 90, almost back to the high end of the channel there on Morgan Stanley. But we hit that one out of the gate. That trade didn't last very long. BTTR getting mentioned here. This one going higher. Jay Wild.
The good news Banshee.
What did I miss?
Just what STFU posted.
Oh, the good news Banshee. I'm seeing NVIDIA calls getting bought.
When the
Humana calls getting bought too.
The market leaks. What is SPY doing now? Well, we're back above 4. So there's some kind of recovery happening here.
Looking around.
Getting headlines with from Treasury Secretary Yellen. She's yelling about something. ITC got up to over 80. After hours high is still 81.84. This is the one that has the price targets of 82 and 86.
ITCI? What was the no?
Yes.
ITCI. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a pretty decent move, especially since it kind of had a little bit of profit taking right at the open, and then got bought right back up, top end of the pre-market range there. I just want to see what SXTC does, how long they're going to try to keep it down. Yeah, so this got halted. This is still on its first halt, right? This was the halt back from 9:51. It's currently 10:09. Yeah, I wonder if they're doing anything special with those. I don't know.
What is this all about?
Well, this is that one that Zach bought.
Oh,
remember yesterday, KVL was that, and then it got halted for longer than the 10-minute time.
mm-hmm.
That was traditional. SXT resumed time 10:11. Okay.
That's interesting. I mean, if it doesn't resume, then something's happening here with these Zach Morrison stocks.
Well, that's what I mean, and I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know. But just trying to notice any type of pattern or any type of information that might be able to help us. WISA, this now below its VWAP, that to me needs to reclaim that, or it's not even an option.
I think 260, 270, 260 is next downside target for this one. For WISA.
PRSO still hanging out down here.
Trying to decide what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Sides go sideways. It looks like it wants to have another shot at VWAP because it's moving up towards that right now.
Bitcoin holding right here about 63K. Tesla actually holding its move lower here. So maybe we found a near-term Tesla bottom. PRSO rejected right there at its VWAP.
Yep. Still holding it sideways though, so might not be, done for the day. We start breaking down below 160, then I might be more inclined to think that.
A-Lab here off that 70. So it looks like Evercore joined the upgrade party. There were a ton of these on yesterday that we talked about. Looks like Evercore doing it here this morning. Thanks, Crow. $100 price target on that Evercore initiation or coverage initiation, excuse me.
Okay. Looks like WISA might be coming back, trying to get back above VWAP. Rent down near 65 EMA. Rent might be either at a breakdown spot if it can't hold this support at we'll call it 1495. Otherwise, it's going to reverse and try VWAP again.
Jay saying IBM, that 180 to 182 level has held a few times. That does look like a good spot here on the daily chart. Got that right in here. And that's actually midway between this gap that formed the island here on IBM. Would really like to see that hold. I think if it comes back in and fills this gap down and doesn't bounce, I think that's discouraging. But 180, 182 looks like a decent near-term level for IBM. I would agree with you, Jay.
PRSO is pushing up to VWAP again.
Here we go on this one. See if it gets above VWAP. That 194 spot, I don't see any more size added there, although I do see some size added in front of it, starting at 190 here. Again, rejected at VWAP, PRSO.
Yeah, it seems like it's just going to be a matter of time before it breaks through that. If it keeps hammering it, like, it's trying to do it right now. Okay, we just got a bid come in at 185 to help support these these buyers.
Here we go. So I think one of the things that we might do here for this trading plan here is plan on adding an amount when we're trying to play for some of these breaks, where if it comes down to the bottom of the range, we can double it up and then average our price down. Because if I do that, I'm flat on this trade now. I think I might try. Yeah, I think I might try that.
Yeah. Just for everybody out there, when you be careful when averaging in for day trades.
And I think
that can be bad.
That's a really good point. One of the things that we would have done here is waited for a confirmation that this area held before adding, right? We don't want to add right onto it, because if it just breaks, now you've doubled your trouble, as you're trying to allude to there. But if we can actually hold this level, we might be able to get a better price. And the other thing that we can do is change the sizing around on the opening trade so that it's not as detrimental. PRSO here, let's see if this can actually go. 198's got some size above it. 197, 194, still that original spot. Remember, they were adding to that. They hit a whole ton of stock out of 194, but they added some back. Let's see if it goes through there now.
Yeah, it got above VWAP. Now it's holding and pushing. It looks like the buyers are coming in.
Here's that 194 spot.
Looks like it's going to try for 2.
Yeah, and there's some size there at 2 stopping it. Here we go on 194, and look how easily they took it that second time. Look how easily they took it that second time. Definitely, we're going to analyze this a little bit more. Here's 2.
Yep, everybody looking for a 2 exit unless they can get it sooner.
Wonder if we get the same type of action where if we trade up to 2, it gets rejected and comes back in and then makes another attempt at it. That would be something to trade if that happens. We'll watch for that here.
And if that happens where we get rejected at 2, I'd want to see it hold VWAP. Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay, that was just an anomaly. I just saw an anomaly. Just nothing. You know how you get
an anomaly.
You know how you get those instant wicks that just seem like really, really ridiculously high for no reason?
Yeah, that's what we just saw here.
Yeah, I don't think that was a real trade unless
that was up to 208. Let me check the time in sales. I didn't see it there. Yeah, I don't even see prints above 2.
That's what I mean. Anomaly.
Yep. Good call. Good call. 13. No prints above 2. I don't know how that wick got drawn up there, but here we are.
Well, because I mean, one of the things I noticed that I would have had to gone past the that wall at $2. Didn't know how I was going to be able to do that without taking it out. Now we're starting to come back in. Now we need to see if we're going to hold VWAP. And if we do, then we could go back up to $2 and take it out next time. So that would be the thing to watch here for this one.
I wonder if some of that size is readjusting lower. Yeah, Christoph, you got that too? Okay. So that's strange. Why all of our feeds are drawing that. Morgan Stanley back to the top end of a train. They're 90-30 on Morgan Stanley.
WISA coming back up to 3.
Is that really giving another up? Yeah, right through the VWAP there. I'd have a tight stop on that one. How's GL doing today, Gerald? I didn't even check on that one here. Holding at 55 level. I don't know. I think this one's over until we get some more news. BTTR stands for bear trap.
All right, WISA through 3. Sorry.
Some size above here, 305 and 6.
Yep. That level, and then 315 would be the next one after that. I think it won't have as much of a
there's
time.
Some size building above it, and they hit it.
Oh boy.
They took the size at 307 here, 315 and 316. Your next blocks there in terms of stock.
PRSO not having a good time, but still above VWAP.
Morgan Stanley might be coming back into the VWAP there.
Rail Vision has a pretty interesting looking formation here. So it's kind of getting held up right now by the 200 EMA and VWAP. So this could be an interesting bounce spot if it starts to see the volume pour in. We could get a reverse here and try to take out 124, which is the intraday high. PRSO still back above 190. They're just holding their breath, waiting for things to do things. Pally's pushing up to 7. Might be coming back, finally curling.
The RTX still holding lower here. Carvana coming up off that 69 level. That's interesting. Nice little volume pop there on Carvana.
So that makes me think now, what's Root doing?
Should we even check?
Oh, I think reality is starting to set in. Yeah.
It went lower. Maybe reality is setting in. How about that?
Going back to their roots.
That's funny.
Oh wow, what's a 314? This one's going to try and go for the 336 intraday high. It's pushing up there now. Got to get through this wall here at 314. The next one will be up at 330.
That was a great move through that VWAP. That little bottoming formation, that pop back to the VWAP. That was a sweet move. I know this is junky stock, but it played out well.
Yeah, this is still the scumbag stock though. And I'm only calling it that because of the way they're handling their the offerings and reverse splits.
Yeah, I get it. Pally trying to curl here.
Oh yeah, it is. PRSO still trading. I guess it's trading a bit sideways, but still above the VWAP. Really wants to get back up to 2. ITC, this has been a slow grinder. It went all the way up to that after hours high. I think we traded just beneath it, excuse me, by about 4 cents. Yeah. So we could see there was some come back in a bit here, maybe down to about 79.50. But if we return back up to that after hours high for a second time, might have a little bit better time getting through it. PRSO knife.
Well, this is where we knifed to before, remember? Came right back into this 177 area. Yeah, I see some size here at 176.
Robert Smith is mentioning YYAI. Okay, what's happening here? I'm starting to see a bunch of these turn red. We get some news. Yeah,
I'm watching PRSO to see if we give the same type of action here where we kind of bottom out.
I mean, so far it is making higher lows. Rail Vision still looking like it's wanting to go higher than 124. It's just, kind of slow moving, and it might even be rolling over here. But if we start to move up, that'll change the outlook of the MACD. Yeah. So 175 in PRSO is about where that support is.
Yep, 170. It's kind of an area in here. I mean, I guess you could even say like 170 to 175, 176 area. There's definitely some bids lined up in there too. Though, we've seen it knife to this area before. So what I was saying earlier, we want to confirm that this area holds. But if it does, we might have another opportunity here. This doesn't seem to have the juice. Volume seems to be drying up, which has me more weary on it.
So ITCI back above 81. Yeah, anybody else see anything going on? Because
no, I got a lot of nothing here. I got a lot of nothing here.
Time to hire 13 voiceovers.
I'm gonna go to
I love doing voices. They're fun to do.
I wish I was better at them, honestly, because they are fun. BRTX did look like it tried to move back to the VWAP, although this is quite slow. Quite slow. What's PanW doing today with some of the PanW holding lower here? Maybe this near-term bottom is here. You know, this is actually right along that 200, isn't it? Let me take a look at a different chart here on PanW real quick.
I'm just reading some of these headlines out of what we're getting with SPY. I'm talking about broader diplomatic effort to reduce Iran's constrain its destabilizing behavior, working to diminish the ability to export oil. So that's going to affect China. That could have some inflationary issues as a result. Because Iran really, China really needs Iran for their oil shipments through the Strait of Malacca.
Yeah, Lynn, good to have you back here. Didn't miss much while we were gone. Hockey more interesting at this point. Welcome back, Lynn and Randy. Indeed. And you know what? Let me tell you something, Lynn and Randy. I know you folks were traveling yesterday. Great to see you got back safe. That Red Wings game last night against Montreal was an absolute barn burner. And we're going to have a rematch tonight. So you're right about the hockey. There's going to be some more good stuff on tonight, and playoffs start soon. So playoffs. Sorry, had to.
You kidding me?
Playoffs? So here we go. Oh, good. PRSO looks like it did end up holding that area here. We'll see if it gets above VWAP and makes another move towards the highs.
Crow saying Reddit, in my opinion, this is the bottom.
Are we at 10? No, we bounced off 39.50 here. To Crow's point, though, this is the past couple of days, this has really tried to kind of hold on to 40 here. Again, I think I like this lower, but no position on it. The comeback was incredible, dude. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, I was sitting there. I was like, well, what am I? I'm gonna have to start texting my work buddies. I'm sorry, your season's over. Blah blah blah. And then I just watched him come back. I mean, it was awesome. It was really awesome way to end the evening.
Well, as far as Reddit goes, for me, I'd like to see the several ERs. Maybe a full year first before I even consider this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I want to see those fundamentals. By the way, SXTC open here. This was halted in the 150s. We're pushing 3 now.
Oh, okay, Crow. So you think it'll go a lot slower? All right, we're on the same page.
Here's SXTC. I think I will definitely just stay away from all the Morris pumps. This is moving here, though.
Lower or higher? It looks like sideways.
It's trying to go higher here. 3 is the spot to break. There it goes through.
TCI is still trying to push up to 82. It's kind of interesting.
It's very, very slow moving here. Looks like Pally broke down through 7.
Well, it was trying to get above 7. I mean, you can see from the price action.
Yeah. No, it's been unable to do that. Yeah.
So the next downside level I have in Pally is 635. And then after that, 6. SE popping today. Move probably over, though. I mean, for a lot of these, it seems like the move's over already. CLTD. Is this a shipping company?
CLTV was that the ticker?
LTD. No, it's SE.
Wait, what is the ticker?
SE.
SE. Okay.
E-commerce.
I thought you were correcting some of the letters there. I was like, SCTV? Cavell lower here today. We talked about that yesterday, Jay. We talked about it again here today. Doing exactly what we kind of anticipated.
Yep.
And
Things
see
kind
here,
of going Sorry.
Here we go with PRSO. It did hold the bottom end of that range, but it was unable to move through the VWAP there. Sound looks like it's about to knife. Sure does. Looks like this is about to fall out some more here. SOUN.
Is there anything going on that would, pull, like, how the Masters were pulling people away from the market? Is there anything going on that would pull them away from it this week?
Like sporting event wise? I don't think so.
Events or things that this would make them, institutions and traders go, you know what? I'm not going to trade this. I'm going to watch this instead or do this instead.
Well, I mean, 420 is Saturday, but that only affects Wisdom and the market's closed. So I don't know if that really counts. No, honestly, to answer your question with, all jokes aside here, I don't think there's any really huge event this week.
I mean, the market's already high, dude. So.
Well, so here we go. Kingdom Lamb saying, where's the volume like anywhere? So yeah. We talked about this a little bit earlier. First of all, Lynn's mentioning the whole stuff with Iran. Obviously, there's definitely some trepidation about all of that. But didn't we talk at the beginning of this that we're waiting on Fed members, including Powell today?
I guess.
If we think Powell's going to have a dramatic effect on what the entire market is doing here, I could absolutely see why the volume's a little bit light ahead of those talks or whatever.
It's a good point.
Jay said there is an event. Nelly Corda going for 5 in a row. I don't even know what that is. I don't know who that is or what that is.
Halt the press. 5 in a row. We need to stop trading.
No, it's a female golfer. Okay, yeah, I don't think that is drawing up the market.
Well, looks like Rail Vision's still trying to curl. It's just taking forever. I don't know, man. I guess it's time to look at some other longer term stuff. WISA, it's time. Is it time for WISA to come back, or is it time for it to break down?
Looks like it's breaking down here from the VWAP.
265 downside target.
This is Fairchild. I like this here. Powell coming out to pat some heads and powder some bottoms, give everyone a participation prize. So your contention then is Powell is stepping in today to save the down move that we've had in the market. That's what that sounds like. Now, whether or not that's true, that's what that sounds like. Yeah, my scanner has the exact same names, and for the most part, the prices are also the same. Not a whole lot going on here. BTTR, this has been wild. This kind of rolled over again. AVTX, Larry?
All right.
Kind of low volume here. That is moving a little bit. Was there news on this, Larry? AVTX? Avalo Therapeutics up 21% today. We had an Oppenheimer upgrade this morning. $35 price target announced there from Oppenheimer on AVTX. That is bringing it up here today.
1 million share float.
Let's see here real quick.
They had a 1 for 240 reverse split on December 29th.
So what did we say about those reverse splits?
What does this company even do? Immune dysregulation?
Yeah.
All right. Well, be careful. That's all I got to say about AVTX.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
Looks like PRSO took another shot at VWAP. Lots of red stocks on my screen, folks.
Yep, same. PRSO. Let's see
Matthew True asking, what's the next support level for SPY if it goes through this one? Let me pull up SPY. I'll give you my levels.
500, I think we discussed as the round number for sure.
I think he's talking, if you're talking about 503, if we go lower than that, that's the beginning of a potential gap fill. We have the gap between 503 and 2 cents all the way down to 497 and 37 cents. So there's potentially that entire move that could happen. On the way down, you're going to run into a couple of other levels. You're going to run into the 500, as Ryan was saying. You're also going to run into 498 and 38 cents. That is the 5% pullback level. That's 5% off the all-time high. So those two levels, you might see some, reversal action, some bounce action, something. But we are, in my opinion, I think we're headed towards that gap fill ultimately.
SXTC still holding above 3.
Yeah, CFU 1 to 240 is something you do when you're at risk of delisting. Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason for most of these reverse splits anyway.
Just save them, keep them on, keep them listed.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, Voodoo. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've placed a stop around a round number. It's just my OCD. I can't help it.
It's a psychologically satisfying number.
Yep. Wow, that big pull off that 320 area there, SXTC.
Oh, that's a Zach Morris one. So I guess they might be done.
I mean, I don't know if it's done or not. I can't comment on that. I'm just watching the price action here. Otherwise, I can go over to my neighbor's fence and we can watch the paint dry on that fence if you'd rather do that.
I was just wondering if making the comment if they're done trading it.
I'm just being a smart ass.
Okay.
I mean, there's not a whole lot going on.
There really isn't. So I guess it's time to joke around. What's going on, folks?
They'll be here all week.
Yeah.
PRSO, really the only thing we see going on here. Spot at 185. We'll see if it breaks.
Going on. I mean, it's going sideways. It's been going
like I said, that's the best I got. That's the best I got.
Looks like ITC wants to recapture 81, but I don't know how long that's going to last. RVSN finally starting to look better now.
Sorry, Shaheen, we're not having political debates here. Okay.
Cattle is entertaining. That was a mover from I think last week or the week before, right?
Yeah, it sure was.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I see how this is going. Looking good right now.
You got it, Voodoo.
650 is next upside target. We have a lot of consolidation to work through between 6 and 650, and we're in it right now. So we'd have to, I think in order to get to 650, we're going to have to see some much better volume than this.
ENVX back to the VWAP here. WISA still struggling to get above its VWAP.
Man. SPY looking like it's about to knife. We're below 503.
Chris just on it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree at all, but how far down we go. I mean, next stop's 500, I think. And we didn't, and that was just from Yellen. We didn't get Powell yet or any of those other folks.
MOB on here. Mobilecom. Yikes. Was somebody mentioning NVOS earlier?
I don't know, but I think Alyssa just decided that her new nickname now is Wissa.
Alyssa, you must have had a busy morning. If that's the case, I feel like we've been talking about this stock all morning. That's some funny stuff, honestly. That is some funny stuff. AGL curling back up here. Oh, that's funny.
I know we're having fun, but I'm just still trying to look and see if I can find things that are setting up in other trades. Maybe it's time to look at some longer term things.
Voodoo, take care of yourself. I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
I feel you on that one.
Absolutely. Take care, Voodoo. If I can find something, I'll let you know. But I'm getting a lot of red across
Travis, I love this. SPY puts all morning here. Travis, looks like you're playing the bear side here. Good stuff so far here, my man. Keep that up. Make sure you book those gains on the way. Oh my God, ZJYL again. Wasn't this a wild one here before? Yeah, it sure was. Looks like this is starting to spike on some volume. You didn't miss anything, JK. It's kind of been kind of a slow morning here. Better late than never, though, my man. Better late than never.
Nice job, Scott. Yeah, so the things that I'm seeing on my longer term portfolio that are up, lots of defensives, lots of consumers, staples. IBM is like one of the only tech names that I have that's up. Amazon had some news this morning I thought was interesting. I don't think there's really going to be a whole lot to move off of it, though.
Yeah, not a whole lot of action on the back of the news.
Yeah, because it was just that they announced Maestro, like some kind of AI-enabled playlist thing. I don't know that that's really going to bring in the dollars, guys. I don't know that they're going to start stealing from Spotify. It looks like Wiss is trying to take 3 again. Got some recovery from PALI. Prso still trying to figure out if it's going to recapture VWAP or not. ITCI above 81, but not getting above 82.
Nope, just kind of hold it in there. Mood is asking Ryan, what don't you like is what I think you mean there about trading pharmaceuticals. A lot of these companies pre-revenue really need cash, and in today's environment, how are you going to get cash? Well, probably not going to get any type of borrow on it. You're probably going to dilute the stock in order to get that cash. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that for a lot of these trials, I'm not necessarily sure how much cash is going to be required because it's not in my wheelhouse. If there's some type of drug or treatment that I'm following, that makes me a little bit more interested in it. But for the most part, it just seems like kind of like a lotto ticket. A lot of them do anyway. And remember at the beginning of this year, I did say biotechs are likely to be hot, and they have been kind of hot this morning. Yeah. Or this morning, excuse me, the beginning of this year. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, and that's just how a lot of these biotechs are. Because when you think about what you need to run a biotech company that's coming up with a new drug or some kind of treatment, you're going to need a lot of money in order to test those drugs for their safety, their efficacy, and all these other different things that they need to accomplish. So you're going to have some big companies like Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer that are able to do that, and those take years and years and years to accomplish because it's such a big dedication of funds in order for that development to happen. These smaller companies, they really can't go to many banks or investor institutions and just treat it like an ATM, but they can file an offering and get a lot of money out of traders. Pushing the stock up, and once it reaches a certain point, they can just file another offering and raise more cash. They continue to do that. They'll just file for a reverse split to regain compliance because the price of the stock is going to continue to go down because they don't have money. They're not bringing in revenue. They don't have a large cash position unless they're raising money through these offerings. And it's just a cycle they do until they become profitable, if they even do. Other times they just sell the drug and that's that. Or it gets acquired and that's that. So it's not something you really want to hold. You really don't want to hold most of these pharmaceutical companies. 99% of them you do not want to hold.
Jay, appreciate this difference between biotech and pharmas also. So Jay's mentioning here for bio, XBI, higher rates, trades like the IWM. I guess a more specific difference there is that, pharmaceuticals, generally drugs made from artificial sources, whereas biotechnology, more of a natural source. I guess I suppose I did use those interchangeably there, but it still holds true. Still need money. Everything 13 said is still applicable.
WISA broke through 3 and headed up to the intraday high.
DJT, maybe new lows. SXTC pulled way back from that 3 spot. Way back. GOEV I'm seeing on my scanner. Oh my God, GOEV, look at this. Nice ramp here. Was there news on GOEV that maybe we missed?
Or is it just moving up because Tesla's going down? And so they're doing some kind of like squeeze or something. As a matter of fact, 19.94% float shorted. 1 day to cover. They didn't reverse split, did they?
GOEV?
Yeah, they didn't reverse. They did. They did reverse split on March 8th.
March 8th. 1 for 23.
I did not know that. So that days to cover in the short interest figure is going to be skewed.
I don't see. Yeah, I got nothing here in terms of any type of news that would move it. Nice ramp though, GOEV. Look at this move. Nice little 60-cent move right there. See anything on the Twitter streets either.
Rail Vision knifed.
RVSN with a knife.
Yep. Yep. Things are still looking like they're going lower.
GER getting mentioned. This thing's
bringing up
just
old
yeah.
names.
Wasn't this like a reverse split? This thing hasn't really done much anything. It split yesterday, yeah.
Prso back up to VWAP. Look to see if we get that volume increase and it can push through.
How many times is it going to try it before it finally happens? See, holding here at the VWAP. Want to see that confirmation above the VWAP.
I also would ask how many attempts is it going to take
exactly.
before it breaks down. At some point, those shorts will win the day. Man, Go EV just ripping.
Brought in a bid here.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
it looks like it might start to move now.
I was going to say, let's see if this bid holds here. You know what? I'm going to try some right here, and I'm going to make the stop right under that bid. Maybe I get flushed. No. God, no. Oh, my God. Platform. Literally put it in the wrong spot, and it stopped me out here. I'm actually just going to rebuy it.
There goes Wissa. Wow, Wissa's
Good
ripping
Lord,
right now.
that sucked.
Wissa just absolutely ripped. 360.
Okay, let me flip over to that. Man, what a misclick on that. That sucks. Wissa actually just took that spot out at 344 as well.
Mm-hmm. Certainly did.
It's going higher.
Go EV's going higher, 315 now as well. SPY recovering back above 503 after going down to
503.5 right there.
Looked like it went down to 250.
Wissa volume candles expanding here, by the way.
Yeah, well, that was 502.42 in SPY. Okay, so Wissa, what's going to happen here? Are we going to
be right back? 1 sec, routine. Sorry.
Sure. If Go EV bounces off of 328, then my trend line is gold. Well, let's see if it gets up there. Gerald mentioning AUUD. It's another old one we've traded before. Looks like that's moving up. Is there news? There's a statement here from yesterday. I don't know if this is what's moving it. I'd have to read through that, and I'm not going to spend some time doing that. But if it's moving up on the statement, there might be something in there that's got investors excited about it. Nice Kalu. Yeah, so Wissa 360. That's the top right now. Not sure it's going to go much higher. What do you think, Crow? Is it going to go higher? Path setting up 15. Oh, it's going lower. Let's see here. Looks like Wissa's trying to push up to 360 and wants to go higher, so we'll see what happens there. With Path, do you think Path is headed to 15? Bro, BRO. I didn't know that that's the ticker you were talking about. I'll look at.
Did we confuse Wissa and Alyssa again?
No, we confused BRO with people saying bro versus the ticker.
I see.
What's going on with BRO? I'm not.
I got stopped out of PRSO again. Let's see where that ended up going. Just holding right there. BR, what was it? What's the actual ticker?
BRO.
Is this the stock's ticker is bro?
Yeah.
I feel like this one should be more popular just based on the ticker itself.
No, it has to be spelled BRUH.
GOEV big knife to the VWAP here. You guys are having fun here today. I can enjoy it.
We have to. This market's so dead right now.
You have to.
Wissa pushing up past 360. At least there's that. God.
Henry, brah. Oh, God. Can you imagine if we got bro, brah, and bruh added to this?
That's what Reddit should have been anyway. Reddit should have been BRUH.
Anne-Marie saying the market action sucks. Glad it's not just us, Anne-Marie. Glad it's not just us. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Good times. Guys, stick around for some more Anne-Marie band action here in a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk some options trading. Hopefully we'll find something.
There might actually be a better conversation in there than there is right now about the market.
I don't know. Discussing bro, bruh, and bras. That's pretty funny. I gotta admit, that's pretty funny. PanW still sitting on its 200-day. Accenture making that move to the 500-day that we talked about.
Take a look at ITCI. Well, maybe not. I mean, it looks like it was just about to make a move up through the.
Look at this UNH setup. I'll go to ITCI. Sure. I should have been doing this. You know what? I should have been doing this instead of goofing around with PRSO, which gave me 2 head fakes to the upside. This is tomorrow when we do this. If there's any type, we had setups on some of these bigger names that have really kind of performed better recently. If there are multiple setups, I really need to do a better job focusing on these instead of the smaller names. I got sidetracked again by the siren song of those micro caps going UNH. Look how perfect this was. Breakdown from the channel at 475. We reclaimed it by a little bit, rebroke it, broke the VWAP with the same candle. We've done nothing but move lower here. We have a 9-point move from the channel, the short trigger level that we had here. Man, oh man. That was it. UNH was it. Jay Rice with a classic Seinfeld reference. There is no way I can get through a day without highlighting a Seinfeld reference this good. I like the Manzier better than the Pro of Seinfeld, the greatest television show of all time.
So what would that be? MNZR?
MNZR would be the ticker. MNZR would be the ticker. That was a great mention, Jay.
Looks like PRSO is about to, it's trying to close above.
You know what, though? If it goes, it's going to go without me this time, folks.
Yeah. Don't even put it on your screen, right?
Yeah. No, I'll put it on the screen. That's not a big deal.
Moob is the Moob. That's something
Here we go.
To do one day.
Here we go. Look at that. This is what we were looking for before. Let's see if we end up breaking that. 195 has some more size in there.
Push it right back down there. And so far, it's just been kind of that range today with the SPY. Just between 503 and 550 with a little bit of trading on both sides.
So I have on TweetDeck, I had all types of hair issues there. On TweetDeck, I've got a column where I have a bunch of my favorite traders that I follow on FinTwit. And I'm looking at that column, as I often do when I'm looking to see what FinTwit might be trading. And I see NTBL being mentioned. And that's literally it for the past hour plus. The last picture looks to be a photoshopped picture of sharks in water at the bottom of an escalator. So the point that I'm making here is it is about as dry as can be, even on the Twitter streets, at least from where I'm sitting here.
Yeah, the market is
holding
toast.
Pattern until the Fed talk. By the way, PRSO, what happened on that breakout? Fake again, baby.
I think the bears are taking over. They're coming out of hibernation. News and airline here in the UK. EasyJet cancels all Israel flights until end of October.
Seems like a long window, but I guess given the threat level over there, that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder what the significance is of October, aside from, that day last year.
Is that 6 months from now? Is it just a 6-month hiatus? I don't know.
Maybe.
A PRSO, what a head fake that was.
Yeah, I'm still wondering if ITCI is going to ever end up doing this this breakout here. It's just kind of it traded up and it's been hanging out here up just all morning. So it's either going to do something or it's just going to
dip by to 75. That dip to 75. That was the buy right there.
Yeah,
that was the buy right there. Even Tesla's not really moving a whole lot. Like it's just kind of holding in this range here. Tesla, ticker TSLA.
Let's take a look at the watch list here. So Apple down, Tesla down, and wouldn't you know it, most of the other ones are up. And it's really been interesting how we've seen Apple and Tesla down the same days lately.
Yeah.
While the other ones are doing better. And then when the other ones do bad, guess what does better? Apple and Tesla.
Yep.
Rotation, folks. This is what it looks like. Oh, Reddit has earnings on May 7th. All right. Well, let's see what they've got.
Reddit, don't forget earnings on May 7th. Will she run them up prior? So Jay's asking here, are we actually going to get a move up into earnings on Reddit? Jay, I'll take that a step further here. I think if we do get any type of run up there, probably something that, you know what, maybe not. Maybe with it being a new IPO, I was going to say maybe a short into that if it does run up. But without us having data, maybe not. It is, by the way, that is confirmed for May 7th. So that's not even just an estimation. The company has already confirmed it.
Well, I'll say this. We're still in a downtrend, and it looks like we need to break 42 in order to start talking about it, getting into some kind of an uptrend. I think it's still got some time left. It could be like I think it was Crow was saying earlier that the temporary upside, ultimately it goes lower. I'd like to see what happens once we get up to 42 and then 44. Those two levels seem to be interesting. You can see that we consolidated in between those two levels for a few days last week.
Okay.
What's up?
It looked like the SPY was just kind of rolling over there, and then all of a sudden I saw a bid flash on it, so I stopped talking. That's what's up. Reddit moving higher here. Some more HOD.
For 42, see what happens.
RSO trying to head fake again.
WISA, the scumbag, looks like it wants to go higher. If it can continue to close these 5-minute candles above 335 for the next 10 minutes, could go higher. Looks like PALI is trying to turn around here. We've seen this happen a couple of times or a few times already, and it just went lower. So be careful with that.
There is PLAI. SXTC. This did curl through the VWAP here. PRSO still holding at that VWAP level. All right, 13. We got just under 2 minutes here until we turn it over to Anne Marie. Let's start wrapping it up here a little bit. What kind of thoughts do you have here for the market? What kind of levels are you going to be watching here today? I know we're watching this SPY sell-off. What are you basically going to use or watch here for the rest of your day?
Well, I just noticed that it was something we traded yesterday. PLL just got a price target of $60. So that's just something I wanted to mention. As far as the broader market goes, still looking for to see if we're going to either hold 503 or break down from there. My intuition would tell me that we're breaking down from 503, and we're going to close beneath it today, unless we get some other headline that's going to drive it up, the market up higher. That's where I think we're headed. As far as what's going on with the market, I'm just going to be looking for some setups, and I'm going to be looking for volume. And I don't care what the name is. So if I get those two things, I might have an opportunity to trade something. But since we're not really getting much of either of those, I may just do some other stuff, maybe some research or a long-term play. But I'm not going to do nothing. I don't think it's in anybody's interest to just walk away from the market and do nothing unless you have something else that you want to do.
Like go to the gym, for example.
Like go to the gym or
get some physical exercise.
Or hit the green or something, Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, 13. We will see you on Happy Hour tonight, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks for everything, my dude. Have a great rest of your day, all right?
Bye, folks.
Take care. And 13 leaves a slot free for the one and only Anne Marie Band. Anne Marie, happy Tuesday. How are you doing here today?
What a crummy market action we've got looking at all day today. It's been so bad.
Yeah, I always get a little bit nervous when I notice that, because I don't want someone else that's having a really good day to be like, well, what's wrong with it? Everything's fine. But I'm glad. I do love to hear that other people are seeing the same thing. One of the things that we speculated on earlier, maybe just kind of a wait till some of these Fed members speak, and then maybe we'll get some more action. Anyway, what is I know the market's a little bit slow here. It's a challenging day. What is the options market telling you? What do you got lined up here for us?
So very interestingly, I wanted to talk about what 13 left us with just a few moments ago. He was talking about how important this 503 number is, and his thoughts that we would break it. And so what I went to is a big daily chart, and it shows this very interesting gap that's never been filled, right? And so I think a lot of traders want to buy this floor. And between all the Fed chatter, right? We've got 3 Fed speakers, the Treasury Secretary who just finished yammering, I think, and Jerome Powell. I should give her more respect than that.
No, I thought it was hilarious. That was perfect.
She was chit-chatting. And then, of course, we have Powell speaking at 1:15 Eastern. And so will they say anything that matters? Probably no. Are people a little tense about what happens? Probably yes. But here, before we jump into the options, what I want to share with folks is the following. It's very important that you listen to the news, but you go to the charts to see if the media taglines are matching what the price action is doing. So very quickly, the 2 big things that I like to watch under stress, geopolitical stress, are the oil contracts here in the futures. And we can see that even with all of this noise, all of the geopolitical chatter about war and whatever, oil is not holding higher. It might test higher, but it's immediately getting sold off. So that's key. The second thing is that we look at gold, and this is also a currency event going on. And really, it's because the central banks continue to buy. Gold is cresting a little higher, like we see it right here. But so far up these moves, it has not held higher. So the highest volume day in this contract is the 12th. And so that number is 4203. My suspicion is that we don't close over there. But if we do, I think it's more currency risk than geopolitical war risk. So I don't want folks to be thinking overly bearish and buying a bunch of puts that they're going to watch evaporate in the near term is my thought. That being said, everything's been sell the bounce to include the SPY.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we take a look at one of the major earnings, I have a SPY trade, and then I have,
UNH, I think, right?
UNH, right?
Yep.
So my suspicion is the reason this bounced so hard is because of the news that came out first from the federal government said that they were not going to change the way Medicare was getting paid or whatever, and that made everybody fall off a cliff.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of people were very short into the United Healthcare numbers, and it gapped. Look at where this thing gapped into the middle of the range of this gap, right? Literally in the middle of it.
Yep.
And so the question is, where's it going from here? And without really knowing, we can position to take, again, the iron condor. Why? Because it's a delta neutral position. And the definition of delta neutral means that I have something set up in case price goes up, and I have something set up in case price goes down, and I have something set up in case price stays within a range. And so that's three ways that the short iron condor can work. And so I've got that one set up for us already. And I have it at the June expiry. I have the 510, 520 calls, and then the 420, 410 puts.
Now,
And
with the expiry that you mentioned there, is there anything specific that you're trying to capture, or is this just a general swath of time that you try to play these iron condors for? It's about 2 months. It looks like you got on that.
And so what I want to do is make it long enough so that we have a significant amount of time decay that we can collect, and wide enough so that if it moves up and down, my thought is that it doesn't get up over 500. But there's another gap here. And so my thought is, hey, listen, if it runs into that area, it might gap into that halfway spot like we saw right here. And so that halfway spot is 505. So I said, all right, let's look at 510.
Okay.
And so that's really what I'm looking at. I also don't want it to be long enough that it slips into the next earnings cycle. My overall premise is that markets are going to move sideways for the summer with big spikes and big fades until something happens. And then we either rotate higher or rotate lower. Okay. So this is the premise for United Healthcare. So if you're a stock trader, you might go, wait a second, I'm risking 7.5 to make 2. And yes, that is true. But your probability of being correct is about 98%. And so that makes this a really friendly trade for the trader who just says, hey, maybe I want to put a position in my 401k while things are moving around and I'm not collecting much of anything. Here's a place to get premium, and that ought to work out, because indeed it is going to be a problem for this group not changing the way that they had promised, or people had thought the lobbyists were going to be able to get them to trade, to change the plans inside of the government. So that is a nice clean trade. It's got no major upside. It's got no major downside. It's just trapped in the ranges. And of course, your goal is going to be, listen, I know I've got it at the 420, which is much lower than the 435, but what are we seeing lately? Let's take a look at a monthly pattern here. What we're seeing lately over prior months is long wicks that get bought. And so if this wick fades down into here and then goes into the next channel of sideways motion, it could come all the way down into that 420. So what I'm doing is giving us a little bit of squishy room, that technical term, squishy. If you're saying to yourself, you know, I don't think we need that much. I like the floor. The volume here is very big. I think price action holds. You can shift that up into, say, the 430 area to 420. And what that will give you, if you go 430 to 420, it'll give you a little bit more of a premium, but at a $10 motion event, if it only gives you, 30 cents, it doesn't seem to be the best use of your trading capital, in my mind. Okay, so that is the first one. I do want to talk about your ACN super quickly. We were looking at this holding this ledge. It has broken. And so that gives us a little bit of a warning zone. We don't really have any trouble until the 300 marker, but we really don't want to see it close the week underneath this 315 zone. And so you waiting looks very prescient in terms of your thoughts saying, hey, listen, I think I need to sit tight here and let it recover in this area. My thought is I'm going to put an alert here on 310 that tells me potentially, you know what, you might need to get out of this one a little bit early, even though it's far away from your numbers. With a market that goes crazy, we could lose that zone and not lift for a fair amount of time. So that, I just wanted to give you kudos there because you were really focused in on, hey, listen, let's watch this chart, stop making these lower lows and get out of this very sticky space. So there's that. You also talked about Palo Alto Networks.
Yep. Which is riding its 200 at the moment.
I know. And this, here's what I want to talk about for these guys. If we overlay, take a look at how well this is performing relative to price action. And if we add an overlay and we compare it with, let's use the SPX.
Okay.
What we can see is, all right, where are you? I must have picked up the wrong one. All right, studies. Add studies, compare with, let's try SPY. Let's see if that works.
That looks like what I'm familiar with.
Yeah. So here is the SPY way down here, right? Now, Palo Alto dipped hard before earnings, but this chart is off the lows from its earnings, And the market has literally, I know it's a tiny little thing, you can't see it very much, but the market has rolled over dramatically. And yet, if we take a look at Palo Alto, it's really just chopping around the range. So as we hit brand new lows relative to the near term in the SPY and the Qs and all of that, Palo Alto is holding steady. And so I try to look for strength when price action looks dreadful. And this one still looks pretty nice. And so I'd like to take a look at a put spread. Oh, I've got it up here already. I'd like to look at the put spread that is for May. So it's really close by. You could send it to June and get 50% more premium. And I think price action is going to bounce. So that might be a really nice one. And it's still got 92% probability of being right, with the 260 level way down here being that support edge. And so that, you could, if you wanted to, you could turn that one into an iron condor and get a bit more. I would say where are we? Heavens,
You have the comparison on, so it's showing you a percentage on the right-hand margin.
Exactly. But I can see here that I am looking at about 303 to 305. So let's have a peek at the 310 to 320. And that gives us almost a 1-to-1 risk and a delta of 98%. So that also looks really very nice to me. Again, I like looking at these. Let me get this comparison chart out of here. Remove study. And then, yep. And then remove study. I think there's a lot of relative strength sitting here in this chart overall. I do, of course, I'm a little bit of a fan, of course.
Yeah, so am I.
With these guys, yeah.
So am I.
I think they're cream of the crop and they're going to hang on into this space. So I don't think I have any more comparison things.
So real quick here, Jay's actually bringing up a good point here about this PanW trade. Jay's saying PanW, she's taking earnings risk on PanW if you go to June. So I noticed that you
very much.
Thank you, Jay. I noticed that you had changed there from May to June. That would encapsulate the earnings print. Shout out, Jay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly. And so listen, it still gives us some really nice premium here for 94% probability of, at the very least, collecting 50%, if not all of it. And the fact that it's held so well, it's just amazing to me. It really is amazing to me. SPY. Where are we on the time? 17.
We got
okay,
13
well, before we go,
here.
let's
and
Oops,
you want to cover SPY, which is fine. But if we coin. There was also a mention here on Boeing. We talked about a Boeing iron condor. It looks like it got whacked. So here's what I propose. First of all, if we run out of time today and we can't cover Boeing today, maybe that's something that we can do on Friday when we are going to be reviewing several trades.
Yes.
If we do have time for Boeing, we will hit Boeing today. If not, look for that on Friday.
All right, great. Yes, that did get, did they report something or they're just rolling over?
No, I think they're just rolling over. Let me try and get you those dates here, though, real quick. earnings confirmed 8 days Wednesday before market open. So Wednesday, April
Next
24th,
Wednesday.
prior to the market, we are going to have Boeing earnings. So that did not happen. This looks like just more of those headlines. The plane's
Right.
falling apart in midair.
All right. Let me see what my study set shows so that I can make sure that I don't know why it's showing percentages right now. Let me just reset it. And then I will open this again and we will look at coin. All right, so coin is following with Bitcoin and fading fairly dramatically. It's lost a key support zone, and today it bounced right off of the gap fill on this line. So the question is this going to hold for some upshot? All right, my thought is that it continues to fade a little bit, but let's, with 187 being my target, let's take a look at first the monthly edge. Okay, and we can see, look, support, resistance, this is why they're battling. So they are really, really battling here. So the last range breakout was here at about the 175 zone. My suspicion is that they could easily come back into that area or bounce. And so there's an earnings play here that we can look at with the double butterfly, because I believe it's going to be a big mover. Now, this season, I've done a lot more post earnings trades because as the volatility has risen, it's hard, and watching these prices, it's been really tough to get good positioning into earnings that play on both sides. And so this one should be a very nice earnings trade. And so we're going to try a double butterfly there with the anticipation that we go to 250 or we go to 190. All right. And so I'm going to use those as the outside beginning strikes. And we will use, wait, what was that earnings date? The 2nd, right? Yes.
For coin.
Coin. Mm-hmm.
Let me get that for you again here. I had Boeing in 8 days. Let me get you coins real quick just to make sure.
Yeah.
Calendar earnings. We are unconfirmed for May 2nd. So that could change as the company has not confirmed that yet. But the projection, you're correct. The projection is May 2nd.
Okay. So look at how much premium is sitting in here. 100% implied volatility. So these options are expensive. That works for us if the price is outside this event. Okay, so let's say, let me see where it could fade in a very ugly patch. Thin volume here, that 188, I think is really legitimate. Let's see what the 175 to 165 does for us. 175, 165, 155, 70 cents. On the upside, on the downside move, if it moves really far. And then here, we want to see 250, and then the opening tick is 260. So we'll do 250 to 260 to 270. $250. 260, 270, and the open interest is very big at that middle strike.
Yep.
So we've got ourselves a $90 position that can deliver fairly significantly if this has an outside earnings trade. So what I would do is position this out and put it in really cheaply, good till cancel. See if you can get maybe this debit of 23 cents, I think is perfectly fine. Maybe you can get a debit of 40 cents to buy this butterfly. So you put in the limit order of 40 cents. I see it popping around that area just as we speak. So that's perfect. If you can get it around that area, it's going to really give you upshot that's tremendous. Now, do not think about betting the farm here, because the delta event is going to be very small, that you're right, for a long, for an outsized move, because delta, when delta measures what price is going to do, it doesn't measure for magnitudes outside 3 standard deviations, 2.5 standard deviations. That's about it. So for me, I'm going out to these deltas that are about 30 and trying to position something for the outsized move into earnings. And we put it in a butterfly because if we just bought, let's say we were looking for the middle strike here, and we're looking for the middle strike here at 165, that's going to cost us $1,500. Instead, we are positioning ourselves in a way where we can spend $70 or $80 and move this up into, 2, 3, maybe even 4x. If the market gods look at us and go, I give you some fairy dust, then yes, you make all of it. And if not, you keep your risk low. So my thought is always, listen, when you take these double butterflies, look at them as the icing on the cake trade for all the other types of trades that you do. It's not something that you go, oh my gosh, if I buy, 10 of these and I spend $1,000, then, I'm going to make $8,000. It's not, that's not the bet you want to make, unless, you're looking at a $300,000 account and you're saying, all right, I'm just going to throw those out and say, I'm going to give that a go. If your size is like that, then yes, if you have a threshold where you go, listen, $1,000 a trade is all I want to risk as my absolute low, then, that's perfectly fine. But here gives us a really nice rounded area where good things can happen if this falls out of bed or if it recovers.
Okay. Awesome. I love trades like that where you have both sides planned. To me, that's definitely the way to do it. There was an interesting comment here in the chat. It's totally fine if this doesn't play into it. The Bitcoin halving is Saturday. Does that mean anything for a trade that is maybe tied to the Bitcoin asset itself, like coin?
It could, but perhaps the Bitcoin halving is already baked in because it's happening Saturday. And remember, the market is a forward pricing mechanism. And because it's a forward pricing mechanism, we usually have a buy the rumor event or a sell the rumor event, and then the market turns and does X, Y, or Z. So here we're covered on both sides, whether that occurs on the flip side or not. My supposition was always more energy, more effort with the halving So a lot of people on the other side would go, yeah, but that just means less Bitcoin's going to get mined. But is it right? I thought my understanding was that 99% of all the Bitcoin has already been mined. And so that there says, all right, now we have limited supply. And that could mean, all right, here we go. Here's our next run up into the upper spaces. So we're really positioned for both sides of that. My thought is the following. If you get to the middle strike of either of these before earnings, take your profit, thank the market gods, and then you can reposition after the fact. You can look at positioning it again. And since we'll be together next Tuesday, we can talk about how it fleshed out.
Perfect. Okay. By the way, perfect on the timing. Don't know how you do it, but
I'm
perfect on the
practicing.
timing. Okay. Really, really awesome. So folks, just a note for Friday here. Anne-Marie, correct, you're going to be joining us about 10 minutes later than normal.
Yes.
We're still going to have it though, so it's going to be a little bit of a truncated time. I'm going to try and just zip it and let you handle all the stuff on your punch list. Until then though, good luck. Looking forward to some more of this, and let's see what the Fed has to say here today. All right.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
All right.
Great to be with you.
Yep. Likewise, Anne-Marie, thank you so much. And thank you folks for joining us here today. Smash up the like for Anne-Marie and for live trading here. Have a great rest of your day. Good luck with the Fed. And again, I'll see you tomorrow on live trading. We'll see Anne-Marie again on Friday.